Um, it's another me, bare face. I don't wear makeup most of the time if I'm not at work or in my internship, so that's just the way I am. You will rarely see me wear makeup, but I just wanted to do a little life update since the last time I came on and talked. I'm doing better. I've kind of narrowed down my panic attacks and stuff and figured out what has been the biggest thing that sort of triggers them. And at this point in my life, I would say before, like in my 20s and late teens, they were for different reasons, but at this point in my life, I feel like it's probably more of a hormonal imbalance, and that's why I have them. And so I have, as part of self-care for being, because I am in school, will graduate in May of this year to be a school counselor, and so as part of my school, they talk about self-care and all that stuff and how important it is. And it is important, very important. So part of my self-care is that I go to therapy. And part of my self-care is that if something is going wrong with my hormones, I go to the doctor and, they can work on that. And with all the stuff that I do to try to make myself better, I feel like I'm just hopefully going to just continually get better. That's my hope, and I've been working pretty hard to work through some past trauma and all that. So even though at times when I talk about the past stuff that's happened, at times I think it's irrelevant. There's no reason for me to talk about that and so why are we bringing it up? It inevitably, I find myself in a position to where I think, oh, okay, that's why we brought it up, so that I can deal with other things, or I can deal with that certain thing that happened. So it's always important to do self-care. I am a big proponent of self-care. I feel like in the past 4 years especially, the time I felt the best was when I was basically doing twice therapy, like twice. I had a class where we had to be like a counselor, but we were also being counseled. And so I worked through a lot of stuff with that class, and then at the same time I had a therapist that I went and saw regularly, and he taught me some coping mechanisms and how to sort of, when I start to wander off and my mind starts to wander and I get a bit anxious, he taught me a few things to kind of bring my breathing back to normal and bring my breath more to center, and it has really helped. I use it a lot, especially if I'm going out, like because my husband plays in a band. Sometimes I go out and into situations that not that are bad or anything, but places that people I don't want to be around, or like not trying to be judgmental or anything, but when people get drunk, or like overly drunk, like past the point of making rational decisions, and people who are negative for no reason, that type of energy sometimes is brought to some of the places that he plays, and it's not their fault. It's just the way it happens. Their band is really good, and so they're not a reflection of that. It's just the the type of place and situation that it is. And so when I get in those situations, there are times when I have to use some of the their counseling things that he taught me back then. And that's just basically close your eyes, or barely close your eyes, and try to hear the loudest thing in the room, which at that point, if the band is playing, it's the band. And so I will go and pick out the loudest instrument in the band, and that will be the loudest thing in the room. And I concentrate on that thing and take deep breaths. And a lot of times it's like a rhythm or something like that that's can be like you can breathe to it or something like that. So that's kind of what I do. He also said one of them is to try to listen for the softest thing in the room, and in those type of situations you pretty much can't hear the softest thing in the room. So that's just kind of one of the things that I do. There's a lot of others, but that's one of them, and that has helped a lot. And then I'm in therapy now to go through my traumas that and I've been focusing on my 5 senses and how that makes me comfortable. Like I can be more comfortable in that in any situation if I have comfortableness in the 5 senses, and that's just, you know, seeing, hearing, smelling, all those things. And so I do that at home a lot. I'm mostly a homebody, but there are occasions where I am out and about, and I've been doing my internship, so I have to go out and about, and that's fine. I feel like I'm doing better with my school counseling. It's getting there. I only have like a month left to turn in my and then I'll turn in my paperwork, and then a week or so after that I graduate. And so I'm in the process of looking for a job as a school counselor somewhere in the state of Arkansas. I very much would like to be in a place where my husband and I can go to the same place, but I don't know if that's possible, which is fine. I just don't want to be in a place where he is 4 hours away from me or 3 hours away from me. That it doesn't seem like it's going to lead to a healthy relationship. And our relationship for me is one of the most important relationships in my life, besides my immediate family that I grew up with. His relationship is the most important for me. And so so we're working on that, and overall I just feel better, and I'm lucky that I get a chance to go to therapy, and I'm lucky that I get a chance to go to school. I'm lucky to have a lot of things that I have in my life, and things could have turned out a lot differently, and so I'm very grateful for that. And I never try to think, okay, well, I never try to intentionally think, oh my gosh, my life could have been much better. Everybody gets into these thoughts, but I get into the negative thinking about what could have been different if I didn't have this happen, or if I didn't have certain things happen. And maybe I'll share at some point some of the things that have happened to me, but at this point I don't keep them to myself and my therapist and my husband, my family. So but yeah, it's been interesting, and I'm grateful, and I just wanted to update. I don't think very many people watch my channel, and that's fine. I don't really care. I'm not I just am looking for those 3 or 4 people, or 5 to 10, or 10 to 20, whatever it is, that feel like they have something in common. Maybe they have panic attacks. Maybe they don't know where they're coming from. So I reach, I want to reach out and say you're not in this alone, and you're not doing it alone. You're there. And also through this channel, I'd like to talk about some more school counseling things. I really like that stuff. That's something I'm really passionate about. I'd like to maybe write out some stuff to talk about for that. I try to find better lighting. This is the only lighting in my house that there's light coming from outside, and all the other lights are horrible. Maybe in the future I'll talk a lot more about some school counseling stuff. I'll definitely talk about my experiences with traumatic events, and how that shaped me, and how having panic attacks has kind of shaped me, and the positive things too, good things that come from the bad, and some school counseling stuff. And I'm gonna try to work on not saying as much, but that's just the way I am. So bear with me in that. Okay, thanks for, there you go, again. Thanks for listening, and see you later. Bye.